all the conflict, there is this, a golden pager that we learned Netanyahu gave President Trump earlier this week. It is a nod to the daring and deadly September operation carried out by Israel in Lebanon. Remember that, when they booby-trapped all the pagers used by members of the Iranian-backed military group Hezbollah? All right, I know it's decorative, but if that pager goes off, my advice to anybody close is don't answer it. For more on all these developments today and the breaking news, let's go to George Birnbaum. He's the former chief of staff for Benjamin Netanyahu. It's great to have you here. Want to get your reaction to the breaking news at the top we just shared, that President Trump has signed an executive order sanctioning the International Criminal Court for its baseless arrest warrant that it issued. He called it baseless for Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for war crimes.
Good to be with you, Elizabeth. Yeah, it is a baseless. ICC has had a history of these kinds of things. There is no reason and no credible evidence to charge a democratically elected leader of Israel, a country that allows its Arab Israeli citizens to rise to the level of the Supreme Court, full-scale human rights, probably one of the largest gay pride parades in the world in Tel Aviv every year. The idea that somehow Israel or anyone in Israel is accused of crimes against humanity is really outlandish and without any basis of reality.
Yeah, you mentioned the largest pride march in the Middle East. I'm always struck by the group Queers for Palestine and wondering, don't you know that you have more freedom in Israel by far than you do in other countries in the Middle East where you might be thrown off a roof? In the meantime, the Prime Minister was on Capitol Hill today endorsing President Trump's plan to rebuild Gaza and promising that American soldiers would not need to get involved. Does he really think that this idea is viable?
You know, Elizabeth, I would argue that ever since the establishment of the State of Israel, we had heard for decades that Israel could not make peace with its Arab neighbors until we solved the Palestinian issue. Donald Trump, in his previous term as president, through both will and vision, helped negotiate the Abraham Accords, which saw Israel make peace with many Arab neighbors without having a solution to the Palestinian issue. So is it an out-of-the-box idea? Is it a different way of thinking? It certainly is. But he's already proven in his first term as president that he can change the paradigm in the Middle East and change the way we have been taught to think. And certainly this would go a long way to a complete paradigm shift in the Middle East.
You know, there are reports that many members of Trump's own administration were quite taken aback and by surprise by his announcement, announcing this idea. He apparently told the Prime Minister just a short time before they went out before the microphones. The Prime Minister was also reportedly taken aback. Unsurprisingly, perhaps, the Prime Minister's right-wing allies in Israel are loving the idea. The Israeli defense minister praised Trump's plan, saying it would allow a large population in Gaza to leave to go to various places around the world. But as you know, Palestinians in Gaza have vowed to remain there, despite all the rubble and utter destruction. How do you convince them not only to leave, but to give what they think, give up what they think is the existential right to their homeland?
Well, let's first talk about their homeland. On the one hand, they claim they're refugees. And by definition, if you're a refugee, you're not in your home. So they can't have it both ways. They can't claim to be refugees and also claim that Gaza is a homeland. They have to choose one or the other. And let's also remember that this is not a problem that was created by Israel or the Jews. It was created by the Arabs themselves in 1947 by refusing to accept the 1947 UN partition plan, which would have created a two-state solution, including having Bethlehem and Jerusalem as independent cities. So this is an Arab-created problem, and hopefully, given again the vision and the will, with the participation of many of the wealthier Arab neighbors and nations in the Middle East, we can find this unique solution and incentivize the Palestinians to find a different life and one that will benefit them and their generations to come.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.